Okay, so let's dive into a fascinating paradox: how you might go about disrupting a powerful, organized system. And the most interesting part, the instruction manual we're going to look at was written by the government itself. First, just think about the modern tools of control. You've probably seen something like this on the highway. The California Highway Patrol, for instance, is rolling out these patrol cars that are designed to be way less obvious. Not your classic black and white, but grays and dark blues. They're made to blend right in with traffic.
And like the CHP says, the whole point is to blend in, to better spot so-called reckless drivers. It's a pretty simple principle, right? To have more effective control, you need to be less identifiable.
Okay, now let's zoom out from the highway all the way to the top. You have plans like Project 2025 being drafted with a very clear goal: to take direct, top-down command of the entire federal administrative state. This quote really gets to the core of the philosophy, something that was popularized way back with President Reagan. Personnel is policy. The logic is pretty straightforward. If you want to control the system, you have to control the people who run it. That way, the president's agenda gets carried out without any pushback. So when you see this level of organization, from the highways all the way to the highest levels of government, it really makes you wonder. When you're faced with that kind of immense, coordinated power, what can one single person actually do? And this is where the story gets really, really interesting. Because as it turns out, the United States government itself actually wrote the playbook on how an ordinary person can fight back against a powerful state. So back in World War II, the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, which was the direct forerunner to the CIA, they created this, the Simple Sabotage Field Manual. And it was basically a guide for regular citizens in enemy territory on how to disrupt the state from the inside out. Now, this manual wasn't about high-risk James Bond-style espionage. No, it was all about simple sabotage, small, kind of mundane acts that don't require any special training. The real genius here was the scale, the idea that if thousands of people did these little things, it would become a massive, paralyzing drag on the entire administration. So how'd they suggest you do it? Well, the first method, and maybe the most brilliant, was to turn the system's greatest strength, all its rules and procedures, into its biggest weakness. It's all about weaponizing bureaucracy. The first rule of the game: use the system's own rules against it. Insist on following every single procedure to the letter, especially when it's slow and inefficient. You're basically using the bureaucracy's own weight to grind itself to a halt. I mean, this one is just a classic, right? The manual advises you to waste the most valuable resource in any organization: time. Turn every meeting into a stage for your own pointless, long-winded stories. It's like a filibuster for everyday life. This tactic is just genius. It weaponizes the very idea of collaboration to create total paralysis. By sending every little thing to a huge committee for further study, you basically guarantee that no decision gets made quickly, if ever. And here, you can really see the core strategy in action. It's all about introducing friction at every single possible point. By pretending you're confused and asking for endless clarifications, one person can totally jam the gears of the machine. But the manual didn't just stop at bureaucratic warfare. Oh no, it also gave people a whole list of really practical, low-risk ways for citizens to physically mess with the tools and infrastructure of the state. The instructions are actually kind of shocking in how simple they are, using things anyone could get their hands on. Just look at this. A matchbox and a nail become a super effective tool for quietly taking out a tire. So simple, but so effective. And the list of potential targets just goes on and on. It covers everything from factories to communications, putting sugar in a gas tank, letting tools get dull, mixing perfectly good parts in with a scrap pile. You see the pattern here? The goal is always the same. Find the small, easy-to-reach weak points in the system and just exploit them relentlessly. So, this brings us to the really crucial question. Why are these seemingly tiny, almost petty acts so incredibly effective against massive, powerful organizations? What's the secret sauce here? What's the underlying principle? Well, it turns out there's this idea from systems theory that just nails it. A theorist named Stafford Beer pointed out that giant bureaucracies, they just can't handle the sheer complexity of the real world, what he called variety. So to cope, they have to simplify everything or attenuate it. They rely on crude models and lump all their data together. And that's the connection. That's why this sabotage works. It's designed specifically to attack those built-in weaknesses. You flood the system with all these high-variety problems, all these minor, confusing individual issues that its slow, crude, oversimplified channels were never built to handle. As Beer himself put it, these huge systems struggling with variety attenuation were designed in an era of quill pens. They didn't have computers. So they're just fundamentally vulnerable to being overloaded by simple, targeted disruptions that prey on their inability to process any kind of nuance. So what we're left with here is this fascinating stark contrast. Two blueprints that came from a government context. On one side, you've got the OSS manual, a tool literally designed to empower individuals to create friction from the bottom up. And on the other, you have a plan like Project 2025, which is designed to do the exact opposite, consolidate power and eliminate friction from the top down. But what this 80-year-old document really drives home is a fundamental truth about any complex system, whether it's a government, a military, or even a giant corporation. And that truth is that even the smallest grain of sand can still grind the largest machine to a halt. Even the most powerful, most organized entity is deeply vulnerable to the cumulative effect of tiny, deliberate acts of friction, which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is this manual just some dusty old artifact from World War II? Or does it actually reveal a timeless truth about power? That real disruption doesn't come from brute force, but from cleverly understanding and exploiting a system's own inherent rules, flaws, and inefficiencies.